Hi, everyone. I'm Carly.
And I'm Sophia.
And this is Away She Goes, a podcast from girls who travel.
Each episode will help you feed your wanderlust with travel tips, stories, inspiration, and more. Away she goes. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Away She Goes. Today, we have a very interesting but also kind of serious topic, which is how to avoid burnout as a travel entrepreneur. And because Carly and I are clueless on the topic, we have the lovely Ellie Temple with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on. Let's start the podcast by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I am a yoga and meditation teacher, and I also mentor other wellness entrepreneurs who are looking to create more time and location freedom. So I help them grow their businesses and start traveling as well. And I myself have been traveling full time for over 4 years now. And when I did leave, which was in 2020, started traveling full time, which I know sounds totally bonkers, the timing of that. But I did that in 2020, and that was also when I launched my own business. I stopped working for other companies. I started running my retreat and mentoring business at the same time as when I started traveling full time. So since then, I've lived places like Mexico and Thailand, Vietnam, and Bali, Indonesia is where I currently am living right now.
Jealous.
Beautiful.
I feel like the timing, though, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Like, I feel like COVID really kind of launched a lot of people being like digital nomads, traveling. I feel like it was happening already, but I feel like when COVID happened and then people kind of started traveling again with people being able to work remotely more, I feel like it did kind of accelerate the growth of kind of this space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, totally. And that's really what happened with myself and my husband as well. We both were finding ourselves working online for the first time ever, and really having I was really wanting to travel, and I kind of saw an opportunity that was given to me because I was working online all of a sudden, and I thought, let me try this for a year and see what happens. And worst case scenario, we'll come back and regroup. And at the time, I was living in Los Angeles, and there wasn't a whole lot going on in that city at the time. So it was nice to get out and go places that I was able to explore a little bit and start running my business and just see where it took me. And it's been quite the ride over the last 4 years.
What does a typical day look like for you there in Bali?
Yeah, well, I am pretty set up comfortably here. I have been here now in Bali for about 9 months. And we actually got a villa we got a 1 year lease because I just had gotten to a point where it was time to slow the travel right down and take a breather and get into a regular routine again. So for me, these days, right now, and probably for a couple more months now, I am pretty consistent with my wellness routine, and that's feeling really good for me. I do always, even as an entrepreneur, it's important to me to start my day off right. I always start with like a grounding practice, whether it's yoga or meditation or qigong, something to help me just get grounded and present and in my body. And I know when I've been traveling for shorter terms in the past, especially last year, I was doing a lot of short-term travel, and this is a lot harder to do when you are traveling short term, but I have learned that it's important to find some kind of consistency in your wellness routine if you are traveling. So I start that off with my mornings, and then I spend a couple of hours working with clients, maybe 2 or 3 hours. And I always do set my days up so that I can take kind of an extended lunch break, because I think that having that reset away from the computer really helps me just stay sane, I guess, and physically too, just the break from sitting down. So I'll take like a couple of hours at lunch and either go to a gym or go to a yoga class, being here in Bali, it's a very easy place to have this kind of digital nomad routine. So anyone listening who's spent time there, I'm sure can relate to that. Like everything's here. We've got the co-working spaces, we've got the cute coffee shops, we've got all the gyms and the yoga studios. So setting up that daily routine has been really easy here. So after lunch, either I call it a day from there if I'm able to. Sometimes that's nice. Otherwise, I'll go back to my computer for a couple of hours. But I do try to, for the most part, unplug by early evening, like 4 or 5 p.m. even, and prioritize just slowing down in the evening as well, like whether I'm gonna catch the sunset or go for a sauna and a cold plunge session, something that just takes me off of the screens and helps me regroup at the end of the day. I've found that being able to incorporate these kind of wellness activities throughout my day are really what keep me going as an entrepreneur.
That sounds like you have your work-life balance
Probably
really
perfect.
down. Like,
It's taken me a while to get here, definitely.
it's what we can aspire to uh, have for ourselves, at least for me speaking. So let's talk about burnout and how to avoid it. Me myself, I've only had like travel burnout, but that's a whole lot different if you're a travel entrepreneur. So it's more important even for you to avoid it because your livelihood depends on it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's an important thing to talk about because for those who are entrepreneurs and want to travel, it's an amazing lifestyle. There are so many perks, but like you said, like a lot of us have been through travel burnout, and if you throw work into the mix, it's like a whole other situation that really takes some nuance to balance out. And I've definitely learned this the hard way over the years. And one thing that I've learned from when I first started traveling and working remotely, really, I went to Mexico and I was in Mexico, just thinking like this is going to be this amazing lifestyle. I'm going to spend all this time at the beach and, it's just going to be easy living. It's Mexico. But I was also so stuck on growing my business that I had not set any boundaries. I was working way too much. I was on my computer like 12 hours a day. For me, it's like, well, why would I go to Mexico if I'm gonna just be sitting on my computer 12 hours a day? But I didn't really see that at the time. I was just focused on a goal that I wanted to achieve with my business. And so now what I tell a lot of my clients, my mentorship clients, and those who I teach about travel, like one of the first things that I suggest is to just set consistent boundaries. And as you heard a little bit about what my day-to-day life looks like now, it's because I've learned the hard way and come back from that burnout when I first started traveling, when I did not have any boundaries. And I wasn't incorporating that self-care into my daily routine like I am now. So this is something that is just like a non-negotiable for me now. And of course, it's going to look different. Like I know not everyone can have a lifestyle like I do in Bali right now, and take 2 hour lunch breaks at the spa and like catch the sunset and all of that stuff, right? But I think what's important is just to meet yourself where you are and be realistic with where you can take little breaks and where you can prioritize your wellness and sneak a little bit of self-care in when you're able to, especially if you're traveling and if you're working remotely. So it's important to just get really clear on what your wellness routine is that you can do from anywhere. So I know that when I'm here in Bali right now, my routine is pretty simple, but in a couple of days, I'm going to be going to Japan for a week or so and then to Canada. And so I know that my routine's going to shift, but I'm still going to set some amount of boundaries so that I'm not overdoing either the travel side or the work side. And I'm just finding a balance there. And this is something that I kind of had to relearn earlier this year as well. When I got to Bali, uh, I had just come out of about a year of like a lot of short-term travel. Like I was living somewhere new every couple of weeks with no home base, and
Mm.
it was just not sustainable like that. That was not ideal. It was just that I had a lot of different things going on where I was traveling short term and I just couldn't settle into one place. So when I got to Bali, I decided I'm going to stay here for a while. I'm just going to chill out. I'm going to get back into a routine. I'm going to slow down. But what actually happened when I first got here was I was again very busy with my job. I was launching a new program, and funny enough, it was a program to help entrepreneurs stay well while they travel. And I got so sick. I actually came down with dengue fever. I don't know if either of
No.
you are familiar with that. Yeah.
No.
Um, yeah, and I was pretty much really sick for about 3 months. I was in and out of the hospital,
Mm.
and just I think it was just a combination of everything, all of the nervous system stuff that I hadn't dealt with from the short-term travel, and my immune system was down, and all of that stuff. And then I made this plan to come to Bali and slow down, and I didn't slow down right away. So my body was like, oh, actually, I'm gonna just make you slow down. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Here's this gift
You're
of
gonna slow
illness.
down.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
my computer
Yeah.
decided to disconnect from my Wi-Fi right in the middle of that, so
Oh,
took a little
that's fun.
took a little hiatus. I was like, what? I thought my Wi-Fi
Yeah.
went out, so I
Way
went
to,
to like check the router, and I was like, no, it's
no,
fine. It was
yeah,
just my
it's
computer was just like, no, not now.
yeah,
So
it's time
sorry
for a
about that.
break.
I'm
Okay,
back.
yeah, no
Yeah, my
worries.
computer was like, I'm burned out already. It's
Yeah.
my computer's like, we're done now.
Just hearing
Not
about the
yet.
burnout, yeah, your
Too
your
early.
computer. Yeah, so anyway, in Bali this year, I've had uh, a reminder of how to really take care of myself and how important it is to find that balance when you are traveling or living abroad and you're also working. So I'm back in that good routine now, but it took me a little kick in the butt to get back into this.
Sounds like it for sure. So what are some other tips that you have? Obviously, like I said, I think this episode is so important because so many people I think are transitioning or have transitioned into this space and are struggling with I struggle with work-life balance and burnout when like traveling full time isn't also thrown into the mix. So what are some other steps that people can take that you've done?
Mhm. Yeah, another thing that I'm doing myself, and I also support a lot of my mentorship clients with, especially those who are in the wellness space like I am, is setting up a passive income stream. And I know that, like, who doesn't want passive income, right? Like, just those words I know are kind of a hot topic, at least in my community. And this is something that I started setting up a few years ago as well. And it's not my main source of income, but I have gotten to a point where I'm receiving consistent passive income, and I just know that that's coming in no matter what. And I've done the legwork to set myself up there. So for me personally, I am a teacher on an app called Insight Timer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that at all, but it's like a meditation app. They have yoga and courses and different things on there. And I've strategically set myself up there as a teacher on the platform and learned kind of the ins and outs of it so that I have that extra support as an entrepreneur, that I know if I want to take a few weeks off over the holidays, or if I have some really crazy travel days coming up, or I get sick, I have set myself up where I'm still going to be receiving that consistent passive income no matter what comes up in. And I think when you have a travel lifestyle like this, it's really nice to be a little bit more prepared, because you don't know what can happen when you are traveling, and there are always those little setbacks that are kind of part of the experience, but it's nice to have that bit of a cushion. So that's actually, yeah, that's something that I help my clients with. We actually just did a 4 week course. I had 65 students in this course on just how to set themselves up on Insight Timer and use it strategically. And it's a great asset for those who are in more of the wellness space. But I would encourage any entrepreneur to look into options for passive income and know that it's not always 100% passive. Of course, it's going to take some time to set yourself up and especially to do that strategically. But for me, it's been really worth it to get that going and know that I have that running in the background as it supports my travels.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like
yeah.
passive income is definitely a goal for a lot of people to have that coming in somehow.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, it does, it can sound a little bit far-fetched at first, I think, but I know for me, like when I started as an entrepreneur, I had no business background. I had no idea what I was doing. I started to invest in my own coaches and mentors, and it took me some time to get my footing there, just like with the travel. And I think that for those who want to be working solely for themselves so they have that freedom to travel, it's definitely worth looking into if you can set yourself up with some passive income.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What
Uh,
is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna transition into our next question. So, a big thing is like for me at home, if I'm burned out, I'm home, I have my friends, my family, people around me. How do you kind of combat the social aspect of kind of recovering from burnout or trying to recover from burnout when you're traveling and you're not necessarily with your community that you may be used to at home?
I love that question because that's something that I find so many travelers are struggling with, especially like the digital nomads and solo travelers and really staying connected to community and to loved ones is one of my main tips for those who are looking to travel, especially if they're traveling solo. And I know some of my clients, when they first come to me, they were already feeling like burnt out because they were traveling and they just felt lonely. And this is something that really happens whether you're an entrepreneur and you're working from home or you are just traveling, you're on the road and you're just out of your comforts, you don't have your family around, and those kinds of things. So, finding a way to stay connected to like minded travelers as well. Like, I think that it's important to have a community in person of others who are doing something similar to you. So for me, I'm really lucky here in Bali. There are, this island is absolutely packed with other entrepreneurs who are doing things that are similar to what I'm doing. So it's easy for me to find others who feel connected to and who can relate to my lifestyle. But another way to do that, of course, is to stay connected in community online. And I think that that's such an important one. And I love what you all are doing with Girls Who Travel. And I actually got to talk to Arden, the founder, earlier this year. And we were talking about community as well, because I just think it's so inspiring to get to connect with others from around the world who share that same passion as you. And for us it's travel, and I think that if you're able to connect with other travelers on a regular basis, whether it's in person or online, that is really going to keep you energized and connected and support you on your travels, especially on those days that are just a little bit harder than others.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
agree.
I love girls who travel. Yeah, like Sophie, look at Sophie and I. Sophie and I met
Yeah.
through Girls Who Travel, and we're
Nice.
thousands of miles away. I'm sure, depending on when you talked to Arden, we did a big retreat in August in Chicago. A bunch of the team
uh,
flew into Chicago from all over, and I was there. I got to meet, a dozen people who I was internet friends with in real life for the first
cool.
time. And I was like, this is so much fun, you know? So I definitely agree being a part of that community, whether it's digital, in person, both is a game
Hmm.
changer.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
also puts a different perspective on the everyday problems that you have as opposed to your family and friends from back home, because they're not really going to understand that it's exhausting to change location, like you said earlier, where you were traveling 1 week here, 1 week there, and every time you need to figure out where can I eat? Like, what is the good supermarket? Like,
Where am I
and
sleeping that night?
finding all things in the supermarket,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the little things that
Yeah.
make it more stressful.
Yeah, it's such a good point too, because even though, and I think it is important to still stay connected to family and to those who are close to you, even if they don't understand the travel, but you just can't really talk to them the same way about the issues you're having because it doesn't compute the same way. Like of course, I'm so grateful for this lifestyle, and it does have its challenges. But if I were to call up my family back in Canada and start complaining about like my quote unquote challenges or the things that come up during travel, they probably wouldn't have they wouldn't feel that sorry for me, and that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Absolutely. I think that was a pretty nice bouquet of advice that you gave us there for burnout, especially as a travel entrepreneur. But I also think that even Carly and me, who have steady, boring 9 to 5s, can take a lesson out of your book. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
I don't think so. I mean, if for anyone who's listening, if you are an entrepreneur and you're wanting to travel a little bit more than you already have been, like maybe you're thinking about moving abroad. I know that's a topic that many are considering these days. Or you're looking for a location independent lifestyle, or you just want to pack up and work from another country for a month or two. I just encourage you to go for it, but prepare for that ahead of time and consider what we talked about today and just little ways to stay healthy and to take care of yourself along the way, especially if you are going to be working during your travels. It just takes a little bit more preparation and planning than if you were to be, I think, backpacking or just traveling without working at the same time.
Absolutely.
All right. And before we let you go, would you mind just telling our listeners where we can find you online, on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. That's kind of my platform of choice. It's at Ali Temple Mentor. And I also do have a podcast. It's called the Traveling Wellnesspreneur Podcast. So if you want to hear more tips on wellness and travel, and I also have some great interviews over there as well. And yeah, I think those are the best places to connect with me.
Perfect. And we'll put links to those in the episode description so they're easy for everybody to find.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, ladies. It was lovely to chat with you.
That's all for this episode. If you'd like more Away She Goes in your life, make sure to stop by girlswhotravel.org/podcast. That's where you can fill out a form if you're interested in being a guest on the show. You can also write to us at awayshegosgwt@gmail.com or leave us a message on our Google voicemail from any phone or computer at 1-563-503-6323. To follow our adventures, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Carly Sees the World. Carly is spelled Carli.
You can also follow me at Sophia AEZ, Sophia with a PH. Away She Goes is part of Girls Who Travel, a community dedicated to radically redefining travel to be inclusive, sustainable, and empowering. You can learn more about GWT, find travel tips and support, shop travel themed items made by GWT members, and join our Facebook group with nearly 100,000 women all around the world at girlswhotravel.org. We can't wait to connect and explore with you. Away she goes.